In today's video, I'm going to be talking... Yeah, shut up. Alright. I'm going to be talking about an article from The Guardian supporting, upward thrusting buildings ejaculating into the sky. Do cities have to be so sexist? Toxic masculinity is built into the fabric of our urban spaces, writes Leslie Kern, author of the new book, Feminist City. And the results aren't just divisive, they can be lethal. Alright, totally makes sense. Mean streets and dark alleys, road names and statues of men, from the physical to the metaphorical. The city is filled with reminders of masculine power. Oh my god. And yet we rarely talk of the urban landscape as an active participant in the gender inequality. A building that, no matter how phallic, isn't misogynist, isn't it? Surely a skyscraper isn't responsible for sexual harassment, the wage gap, or oh Jesus Christ. The wage gap, or even the glass ceiling. Whether it has a literal one up top or not. Alright, makes sense. Totally. You know, skyscrapers now are racist. They're not racist, sexist. Because they're built to be strong. No. Let's read, because I want to see if these people have any actual points. Alright. That said, our built environments can still reflect patterns of gender-based discrimination. To imagine the city and its structures as neutral places where complicated human social relations are staged. What? To imagine the city and its structures as neutral places where complicated human social relations are staged is to ignore the simple fact that people built these places. As the feminist geographer Jane Dark has said, our cities are I know how it sounds, I just can't say the word. Written stone, brick, glass, and concrete. In other words, cities reflect the norms of the societies that built them, and sexism is deep-rooted norm. You know, maybe because it's pretty convenient to build tall buildings in small amounts of area. And maybe there aren't many materials other than stone, brick, glass, and concrete that can truly build those tall buildings and support them. Because that's just all patriarchy, just building out of materials, patriarchy, materials chosen by men, because that's definitely not how society was for hundreds of years, or thousands of years. As far back as 1977, an American poet and professor of architecture named Dolores Hayden wrote an article with the explosive headline, "Skyscraper Seduction, Skyscraper Rape." What? Okay. Hayden tore into the male power fantasies embodied in this celebrated urban form. The office tower, as she wrote, I just lost, is one more addition to the procession of phallic monuments in history, including poles, obelisks, spires, columns, and watchtowers. Excuse me? Get watchtowers, you know, are kind of built to be tall, so that they can see over a wide area. Poles, you know, so they can stick lights on top of them, so that they expand over a very, big area. Obelisks, they're built for ancient peoples to basically represent their polytheistic gods. To appear as they're reaching the sky, even though, I mean, they're not reaching the sky, but, well, that's how tall you can build, that's the sky to you. Spires, literally built as monuments, just to show ingenuity. You know, look at me, I just built a extremely tall building. I think I just did something wrong here. Alright, nice. Columns, you know, so that they can support a structure. Apparently, you know, I can't support our buildings anymore. Just can't. We kind of need the buildings to hold in order to showcase, you know, museums, or just live inside them in general. Where architects unironically use the language of base, shaft, and tip while drawing upward thrusting buildings, ejaculating light into the night sky. Base, shaft, and tip. Oh, tip. Top of the building. Huh. Wonder where that came from. You know, because it's the top of the building. Maybe. I don't know. I can't say crap.
Gas must be inside.
If sexism of the city began and ended with architectural symbolism, I would have happily written a grad school essay about this, then turned more attention to pressing matters. This isn't a pressing matter at all. It doesn't matter. Why is this person screaming about this?
Could have been the airstrike.
Oh, they're here.
Shit!
Find him. Contact!
But society's historical and ongoing ideas about the proper gender roles for men and women, organized along a narrow binary, are built right into our cities, and they still matter. No, they don't. It's simply just buildings. They matter to me as a mother. They matter to me as a busy professor. A professor. You know how many children are going to become retarded because of this lady? No, I'm not saying that, oh, women can't teach. No, women can teach. Completely fine. I have plenty of female teachers. But, how about you not be an idiot and understand, like, more important issues in society? Like, come on. Okay. They matter to me as a busy professor who often finds herself in strange cities, wondering if it's okay to pop into the neighborhood pub alone. Yeah, it is, pretty much, unless there's a bunch of creepy guys who are drunk. It's not the city's fault. Penis-shaped, apparently penis-shaped skyscrapers aren't gonna make it for more men to be creepy to you in the pub. Ask any women who's tried to bring a prom onto a bus, breastfeed in a park, or go jog for a night. She intuitively understands the message the city sends to her. This place is not for you. What? Hello? Hello? The place is clearly for you. This place is clearly for everyone to live and work and eat and whatever else you do in the city, you city-it. Bad cop. Or not bad cop. Angry cops. There you go. City-it. It's a term he made. You should go watch his channel. He's actually kind of a smart guy. Though obviously he's going to be wrong like any other person. Yet the cities can be a place of great freedom. The anonymity of urban life breeds possibilities. Easily stifle. Alright.
All clear. Let's get the power up. Shed some light, find this gas.
Easily breeds anonymity. The I can't speak it. Long words anymore. Of urban life breeds possibilities easily stifled in a claustrophobic small town or suburban enclave.
Lights coming on.
Okay. Education, work, pleasure, politics. The city broadens our horizons. Remains our best hope for radical change. This is the paradox. Paradox. You shouldn't just... It doesn't matter. Focus on more pressing issues like... What? Africa? Problems that we specifically created in Africa by our colonization. Well, America wasn't really in it, but the colonization, Britain, France, a couple of other countries, Spain, or not Spain, not really Spain, Portugal, I guess. Those main countries. And Germany. Those countries bred what's happening in Africa right now. The revolutions, the pain, the poverty. No, those are actual problems, and yet, oh, city look like, skyscraper look like penis. I'm mad, I'm mad, I'm mad. Like, piss off. And maybe the cities were built by men because those who were the main workers for hundreds of years and thousands of years. Couple thousand years.
Echo 3-1 to Watcher.
Alex, what happened?
Terrorist attack. Multiple Marines killed.
Terrorist attack, okay. Yeah, that's a terrorist attack.
Roger.
When the car just hit your truck. Okay. This is the paradox that drove me to write a book rather than a grad school essay. Feminist city. Claiming space in a man-made world takes on fear, motherhood, friendship, and activism. I am so dumbfounded about these people. As well as the joys and perils of being alone. To show not only where our cities have failed, but to imagine what they could become. During the Industrial Revolution, the populations of European cities and many others in the colonized world grew rapidly. They became flashpoints for moral panic about how gender norms were changing. The teeming streets threatened the neatly defined spaces that kept the classes apart, increasing the risk that women, especially who have the virtue tainted by rubbing shoulders with workers, immigrants, poor people, and the other. Who the hell is the other?
Terror threat level is now critical. Possible multiple attackers. Bombers or something worse.
Do we have snipers in position?
Negative, Sergeant. Can't unduly alarm the public.
Terrorists know that too, sir.
Garrick, don't turn London into a war zone, clear?
Yeah, Crystal. Out.
What?
Looks like we're
Women.
on, lads.
Apparently just all women.
Let's get it done, yeah?
Oh.
Sergeant?
I'm pretty sure they just wouldn't, their husbands wouldn't want their neatly clean
It's in view.
women, their wives,
White van,
to,
multiple males, weapons visible,
you know,
riveted
get all
sight.
dirty.
Roger.
Because that's just show of dishonor.
White van, left side.
You know, being dirty.
Go, go.
Like if you're rich, you piss off. Just,
Lost engaged.
what?
White van, left side. Go, go.
Like, poor people wouldn't really care. As much as, you know, the guy has a bomb on his chest, but okay. Just I'm thinking,
There's been a detonation at Piccadilly Circus. Shots fired. Officers dead.
wish that women, especially, yeah, rich people wouldn't want their wives to be dirty. That, like I said, sign of disrespect, or not a sign of disrespect. It's not very respectable to have your wife dirty. Echoing department stores and New York Ladies Mile, a stretch of shops for the well-to-do, created at the end of the 19th century new spaces, and entire urban districts built with the intent of controlling the high-status white woman's exposure to the to the messy public realm. Okay. After all, what would be worse than being considered a public woman? At the other end of the spectrum, those who fell in grinding poverty or sex work were also in need of tight control. Well, they went into that because of the Great Depression, you know, and also poor. Lots of people were poor and had to feed their families, lest their failings infect others. Working women were blamed for the breakdown of the traditional family and its consequences, namely men straying into gambling, alcohol, and addiction. Alcohol addiction had existed for a long time. Even Friedrich Engels feared that women working outside the home was too great a disruption to society. Okay, let me check that. Who the hell is Friedrich Engels? Friedrich Engels was a German philosopher, historian, communist, social scientist. Communist. As previously stated in the Communist Manifesto, blah blah blah, in it, Engels and Marx shared the belief that always is a struggle between classes. The wealthier the class, known as the bourgeoisie, were those who owned the means of production. Okay. Female inequality. Friedrich Engels, female inequality. Engels and the origin of women's oppression. International Socialist Review. Socialistworkers.org, International Socialist Organization. How can we end women's oppression? This is the question, can only be answered by why are women oppressed? Not today. Back then, yes, very much. Not today. Focus on it. Today's problems, not old problems. What? Are you kidding me? Even Friedrich Engels feared that women working outside the home was too great a disruption to society. The guy was pro-female rights. Huh. Alright. Charles Dickens suggested that fallen women should be diverted to the colonies, where their low status can be ignored by the surplus of men in need of wives. Yeah, because they kind of want to keep the colony afloat. If this disorder of cities was a great threat to certain women, the disorder of certain women a threat to cities, the suburbs could provide a solution. Early ads for the London Tube depicted such as the Golden Green areas as refuges where women would be safe and conveniently preoccupied with homemaking and child rearing, while fathers could easily access the city via expanded underground routes. How did this come about, though? Okay. In the mass suburbanization of North America, In the 1950s, this fix for gender norms that has become unstable during the war was quite explicit, developers says Hayden. What? Reestablishing these norms was seen as necessary to ensure full access to employment for returning soldiers. What's the word? Hey, Dad. Reestablishing norms, blah blah blah. Surely reading an article about idiots. The consequences have proved deadly as COVID-19 rampages through our cities. Take the crisis in long-term care homes. Care for elderly and disabled people has been largely privatized in many countries, leaving homes dependent on a low-wage labor force who was cobbled together a living by working at multiple facilities, most likely taking crowded public buses and trains between them. Okay. Mainly the main reason why, women are main caretakers for elderly and disabled people is because they're divorced or single mothers. One reason why they could be where it would be hard because they're divorced is because often, because of your whole stupid rights movements, their civil rights movements and whatever for women, women, hold on, I'm gonna look up the statistics. Women more often get the better end of the stick in divorce cases and will end up with the children instead of the man. Very often, whether the woman's a drunk, a terrible person, or a good person. I mean, they should be given custody if they're a good person, but not if they're a drunk. It's simply just weighed against men. Divorce cases statistics. I spelled that wrong. Male to female. When. There we go. Gender differences and the consequences of divorce. Who suffers more from divorce? In the study, I examined gender differences in the economic. I read the consequences of divorce, tracing blah blah blah. Taking these findings suggest that the men's disproportionate strain of divorces transient, whereas women's is chronic. What? Oh, that's right. I was like, grammar? But he was right. Who suffers more from divorce, men or women? Debates about gender differences, and the consequences of divorce, as well as policies aimed at alleviating these differences often center on women's vulnerability. After divorce, women experience disproportionate declines in household income. I want to see the statistics, mister. Who suffer more from divorce makes men, and particularly fathers, significantly richer. When a father separates from the mother and his children, according to new research, his available income is increased by 1/3. Women, in contrast, suffer severe financial penalties. That's because they have to deal with the children. The men don't. They get richer because there is an inequality in the court. Women often get the better, sort of better end with the children.
Yo, I left. Yo, I've been trying.
Okay, apparently women initiate divorce more often than men. Also, society.
Trying to have fun, Kami.
If your wife divorces you,
Yeah, by taking over the
you're
base and you're killing us.
socially just done for. If you're accused of being an abuser, even though you're not, that's gonna stick with you. Even whether you aren't abuser by the court or not, that's gonna stick with you. And now you're forever the abuser. And just like Jesus Christ. I'm just pissed. Alright, this has gone too long. I'm done with this. Cities equal sexist. I'd like to have a discussion in the comments section, not just a screaming match. Alright, stop broadcasting.